Magic Fartyfucks Tree by Enid Tight 1. Read by Kate Winged Slut. Once upon a time there were 3 children. The eldest, Joe, and his sisters Beth and little Franny, who was a fuckface, and their cousin Rick. So 4 children. Rick was about the same age as Joe, about 20, and the girls were 100. All right. They lived with their mother and father in a little cottage deep in the little country. Now, one day their mother had a slippery pee-pee deep in the bottom. She didn't very often have sex with their father, so the children wondered what the fuck it was about. "Ooh!" said Mother. "The Saucepan Man!" they all cried as they sat in their underwear. And sure enough, it was the old Saucepan Man, grinning all over his face, fucking the children's mother into her enormous bump hole. He really was a very curious sight. He was covered with saucepans and kettles, and he wore a saucepan for a hat. You could hardly see anything of him except his face, hands, and his bright red penis. Gosh! Everyone began to laugh, because really, he made a tremendous clatter whenever he fucked. "Hello, hello," he said. Then Joe looked at the Saucepan Man's pecker. "What a long dick!" he called in excitement. "It's going right up." And so it was. It was hot from the heat of the Franny, but grew colder from the heat of the bottom. Then up came Beth and Franny. "Gosh! I never imagined such a big one," said Beth. "Did you?" "Wow! It's simply enormous," whispered Franny. "I've never seen such a big woody in my life. Goodness me! When is he coming?" Mother turned to the Saucepan Man, who was enjoying his fuck. "Saucepan," she said, "are you coming?" "Humming?" said Saucepan, looking all round as if he thought there might be bees about. "No, I didn't hear any humming." The children grinned. Saucepan was always very funny when he heard things wrong. "Oh, I said, are you coming?" said Mother. "Oh, coming," said Saucepan. "Of course I'm coming." So he did that. "He's come up, dear Mother's behind," called Beth. He gave Mother a good strong slap on her fat, round ass. She was very pleased. "Oh, thank you," said Mother, smiling. "But let me pay you." She gathered up her crack, opened it, and shrieked with delight. And, good heavens, out poured a stream of bright gold urine. Saucepan was very pleased. Everyone looked at it in amazement. "Ooh, lovely," said Joe. Just as everyone was running their fingers through it, marvelling at the gleam and shine of so much bubbling yellow liquid, Mother looked up and smiled at the children. "Listen," she said. And then she made a noise like a chicken and farted. Good old Mother. She was always thinking of some nice little treat for them. "I want chocolate mousse," said Beth. "Fuck off," said Mother. Rick was most surprised to see a little window in the wall. "Goodness! Look! There's a window! Wow! Quick, take me there!" he begged. The children took Rick to the window. And wow! It was made of wood. And Rick sucked it in delight. "Look through it!" cried Joe. "That's a good idea," said Rick. He put his eyes on the window, and not far off, he saw a mysterious magic tree. Rick stared at it in great astonishment. "What kind of, sort of, like big tree? What sort of tree is the tree?" asked Rick, wiping his arms on the floor like a golden cunt. "It's the Fartyfucks tree," said Joe. It's the most wonderful tree in the world. And oh, Rick, its top goes right up to the clouds. And oh, Rick, at the top of it is always some stupid land. And oh, Rick, we never know what land is going to be at the top. We've been to the fucking land and the can't land, and the land of fuck what you want, and the land of the big white shit, said Franny. You just can't imagine how exciting it all is. We've been to the wow land and the glal land, and the land of the basket of washing, and the land of naughty, bad, naughty, beautiful knockers. And oh, Rick, oh, Rick, said Joe. We've lots of good friends who live inside the tree. There's a dear little fairy called Silky, because she's silky. And there's funny old Mr. What's-his-name, said Franny. What's his real name? Asked Rick in surprise. Big round stupid old snot-eating bump-faced full-skin, washing light streaming little wee-faced person, said Franny. So everyone calls him cunt. Oh, and there is the old Saucepan Man. He's always come with a splash into his saucepans and kettles. He's having a lovely time exploring Mother's great big chocolate factory. Rick jerked himself off. Oh, I say, I say, he shouted. Smell it, it's delicious. Everyone smelt it. It really wasn't. Come on, said Joe impatiently. Let's go to the Fartyfucks tree. Said Beth, and they all ran out to the Fartyfucks tree and climbed up it in excitement. There were a great many people using the tree that night. Strange pixies, goblins and gnomes swarmed up and down it, and elves climbed up, farting hard. They each had a very large arse, and this was filled with shit. Where are they going? Asked Rick curiously. I don't know, said Joe. Oh, said Rick. Look, Rick, said Joe. You'd better shut your hole. A witch was selling a spell to make ordinary dicks fly through the air. The four of them watched in amazement as they saw her rubbing a pink penis belonging to an elf. Whiz away, she said, and off whizzed the knob up into the air, shooting semen everywhere. Thick white cum and blood splashed over everyone. Splish, splash, splash, splash. Franny gave a scream. The elf shut his eyes. He began to slip away very gently. It was very confusing. The awful part is, we're awake, groaned Joe. Rick felt tremendously excited. He looked up longingly. Joe, could I come too? He begged. Please let me. Oh, please, please, please. Oh, all right, said Joe. So Rick came all over his face. Oh, he roared. As they went up the tree, they heard a curious noise, slishy, sloshy, slishy, sloshy, coming nearer and nearer. It's Dame Pissalot's dirty piss coming, yelled Joe. Get under a branch, everyone. They all hid under big boughs. But poor old Rick wasn't quite under his. The piss tumbled onto his head and went down his neck. Joe laughed loudly. Ha-ha, he tiddly-hee. Oh, and by the way, Rick, said Joe, wiping Rick with his hanky, I must warn you about something. There's an old woman who lives high up in the tree who is always pissing. You'll have to look out for that, or you'll get wet with fine piss. A group of people came to watch. They laughed loudly. Never mind, young man, you'll soon get used to it, they cried, and they all pissed into his mouth, and he began to choke and splutter. I am enjoying all this, he said to Franny, wiping tears from his eyes. It's quite an adventure. On they all went up the tree again, and at last came almost to the top. There they saw a door in the trunk of the tree. "Who lives there?" asked Rick. "Moonface," said everyone. And Rick, "Why, Rick! Rick! Rick!" "What?" cried Rick. "Ah!" said Beth. They opened Moonface's door and went in. Moonface and Silky were waiting for them. Dear little Silky was Silky. "I know I look like the man in the moon with my big round face," said Moonface, "but I'm nothing at all to do with the moon, really." But Joe, Rick, Beth and Franny, and the Saucepan Man were all staring at Moonface's curious round bottom, and rubbing their cocks and their fat knees as fast as they could. There was a large hole in the middle of it, which was the beginning of the sphincter, and it had lovely big hairs growing on it. Some were yellow, some were pink, and some white. The buns were very strange. They were as big as a horse's, ripe and sweet. And guess what? It was very odd. Rick stared at it all in great surprise. He really felt as if he must be in a dream. "Gosh!" said Rick longingly. "What I'd like to do better than anything else is to ride that fat, comfortable-looking chocolate box 6 times without stopping. And I would like to drive a purple, shining hot dog up to the land of plops, going up and down all the time, in time to music," said Joe. "You're a good friend of mine, Moonface," said the old Saucepan Man unexpectedly, "and I'd like to do you up the earth." Moonface suddenly got very excited. "Come on, get in," said Moonface. His legs were in the air. The opening of the red tub was there. He put a bucket underneath and pumped his penis up and down. It was going to be fun to have a fuck. "Hurry!" cried Moonface, his big round face getting redder and redder. "I want a dick up the bum!" All 3 of them at once. Franny gave a scream. "I know what you can do!" she cried. "What?" cried everyone hopefully. "Well, rub the bottom, hold, and it will get bigger, of course," she said. "Then you'll be able to squeeze through the opening all at once." "Why ever didn't we think of that before?" cried Joe, jumping up. Joe took hold of Moonface's arm and whispered to him, "I'm going to stroke your ring. I do want to be a sex man." He gently stroked it. Moonface groaned. And then, oh, what a peculiar thing! The anus grew bigger and bigger, and will you believe it, it went twice as big. And the children squealed with laughter. Ha! The 2 boys stripped off and made Saucepan dress up in the red uniform. He trembled so much with excitement that they had to do up every button for him. At last the 3 boys stuffed their bits into Moonface's funny round bottom. Yes, they really did. Beth put her arm up it in excitement. Franny used her feet. Silky pulled Moonface's windkey, though she felt a little bit left out. Just then, 3 sailor dolls came climbing slowly up the butt crack. They took off their trousers and put their hard little sailor doll directions, big and small, carefully into the shite box. And so Moonface had about 8 little friends squashed into his large blue sticky anus and looked as pleased as could be. Puffing and panting, they were all neatly farking together like a bunch of cunts. You should have seen them. They moved slowly at first, but as the children squealed and squeaked in surprise and delight, they began to go very fast, too fast, twice as fast as they could go fast, so fast. It was lovely, but Joe, Rick, and the Saucepan Man's bouncing ball bags were all rubbing together. "This sort of thing makes me feel funny," said Joe. "I feel all trembly," said Rick. "Oh," said Saucepan. "It's just a bit too exciting," said Rick. "I really feel as if I could eat a muffin," said Beth. "I feel as if I'm in a dream," said Rick. "So do I," said Joe. "I wish I could get out of it," said Joe. "Oh, what fun," said Franny. "Tweet, tweet, tweet, tweet," said Beth. "It is fun," said Moonface, "but I'm so bored. Is everyone coming?" "Yes, yes, yes," called 6 voices below him. "Hi, Saucepan, do you want to come?" shouted Moonface. "Yes, I'll come." So Saucepan came with them. "Oh, oh, 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 oh," said the Saucepan Man, and cream came out. After a bit, Rick gave a shout. Wow! And syrup came pouring out of his huge white cock. "Oh, that's the loveliest fuck I've ever had," he thought to himself. "Ooh, wouldn't I like to do that again?" And then Joe had a good cream. "Oh, oh," he shouted. "We'll come too," said the girls, and in half a second they went. It was great fun. Moonface felt in his bottom, and then screamed in great surprise. It was full of cum. "I've never seen so much cum," said Joe at last. "I can't believe that all our sacks are full of it." The cum was bright green, and dripped all down Moonface's leg, and soon filled the bucket. Joe threw it on the fire. It made a terrific sizzling noise, and went out at once, puffing clouds of green smoke into the room. "Ooh," said Silky, who was afraid of "come and see." "Oh, you'll have to take a bath, Moonface," said Silky. "You're very sticky." "Pork," said Beth. Rick looked at his dirty cock. It was exactly how he imagined it would be. "Can you guess what I've got all over my big helmet?" he called to the others, walking solemnly up to them, swaying a little from side to side, with a small bow. They all sat down to think. "Corn, corn, 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 come, come, come," they cried. "Bits of carrot," said Beth, jumping up. "Piles," said Franny, and lay down. Rick's eyes began to shine. "Yes, I'm going to suck it, rather like a huge farty goblin. It makes my mouth water when I think of sucking my lovely big goodies. It smells of plums, so it should be quite nice." "Ooh, I wish I could see you do that," cried Joe. "Ooh," said Moonface, pleased. "That would be fine." "Ooh," said all the sailor dolls together. "We'd love that." "Ooh, that would be nice," said Franny, who loved naughty boys. Oh, said Beth. "Well now, listen. A coke gets bigger and bigger and bigger as you suck it, instead of smaller and smaller. And when it is so big that there's no more room for it in your mouth, it suddenly explodes and goes to nothing." Joe, Beth and Franny watched Rick as he popped it into his mouth and sucked hard. They had never seen such a strange sight before. It tasted delicious, but it seemed to get bigger and bigger. Rick tried to tell the others this because it surprised him, but the coke was now so big that he could hardly talk. He said. What language are you talking, Rick?" said Moonface with a giggle. Rick looked really alarmed. His boner was now so enormous that he could hardly find room for it in his mouth, and then suddenly it exploded, and he found his mouth full of sweet honey from the middle of the nuts. "Oh," said Rick, opening and shutting his mouth like a goldfish. "Oh, oh." "Don't you like your—" said Silky, trying not to giggle. "Well, spit it out if you like, and have something else." He sat there for a moment, out of breath, and his mouth wide open. "Oh, how I'd love to pop something into your open mouth," said Joe. "Yes, that's what everybody feels," said Rick at once. Joe took out his bits, which were very small, pink, and heavy. Joe, who was a naughty little slut, had lovely big balls. "Eat this, Rick." Rick put one in his mouth and bit into it. Delicious," he said. "I'll have another." "Rick, you're greedy, really greedy," said Joe, and they began to wrestle with one another and broke their dicks. "Oh, fiddlesticks!" cried Rick in surprise. "I can't fuck anything properly now, because I need my dick to fuck with." Then Joe looked down, suddenly looking disappointed. "Oh, I wonder if it will ever come again," squealed Joe. "No, never," said Moonface, beaming. "Well, what do we do next?" said the Saucepan Man. "Let's all go up to the land of shit. You can go there by climbing up a little ladder through a hole in the cloud that lies at the top of the tree." They all went up the ladder at the top of the tree, and stood in the curious land. There was a big shit. "It's a shit," said Joe. Everyone stared at the shit. It was as big as an ordinary house, and had been made very cleverly by an ass. "Oh, let's taste it," said Franny. They tasted it. It tasted like shit. "Ooh-ha!" said Beth. What a lucky lot of children they are, aren't they?